New England Gardening. Today's Friday, March 22nd, and a number of my cuttings that I received from UC Davis on February 28th are starting to root in the bins with the sphagnum moss. They went in the bins on March 2nd. So it's been 3 weeks, and some of the cuttings is showing some good sized roots on them. This here is Violet de Bardot. You can see the roots here. And surprisingly, the roots started on the thinner cuttings and not the thicker ones first. Here is Sucrete. And here are the roots on some of the cuttings. That really exploded with roots on that one. And this one just grew right into the sphagnum moss there. This is Col de Dame. And I don't even think I have enough soil mix for these. I'm going to have to go out and sift some more bags of the pine bark nuggets to get that half inch sifted material that I mix in with soil. There's a root on this one here. What is this? Pastilier. So that's what I'll be doing today, is getting these into cups and into the bins, in the storage bins. So I pre-dampened the soil mix because it can get so dry that it actually seems like it repels water. So I damped it, I watered it down a little bit, mixed it up, covered it, and let the moisture equally distribute. See, there's still some dry spots in here. But overall, it's pretty damp. So these are varieties that I haven't tried growing yet. And you can see that when you start getting some growth while it's in the bin there, you can get mold and it'll start rotting. But as soon as it gets out of the bins here and the stagnant air, the mold will disappear, even though you keep it under high humidity in the larger storage bin. You just air it out, and the mold doesn't seem to be able to survive for too long in that environment. So maybe I'll try to keep that little bud there just above the soil. It's 36 degrees today. And here is the Violet de Bardot, extent of the roots. I don't like to compact this too much. The only compacting I'm going to get is when I water this and just shake this a little bit. Don't give too much resistance to the roots, and they'll still be enclosed in a nice humid environment and easier for them to grow into that soil with little resistance. And here's a Col de Dame, UC Davis source. Here's the roots in this one. Now these roots are almost too long. It might be best to pot these up when you just start seeing the root initials instead of getting that much growth on the roots in the moss, in the bins with the moss, because they're really fragile and they can break off. And I'd rather have them grow right from the start into the soil mixture and just keep them in the moss until you start seeing those little bumps, those white bumps where the roots are going to start, because they can get quite fragile. You can see here those little white dots. Roots would start forming there if I left that in the bins a little bit longer. If you can see those. Those will just dry out now that they're in the air. And here is a sucrete. This is a nice tip cutting or end cutting. Some nice roots there. And I have a root forming about 3 inches away from the bottom there. I can just leave that in the air, or kind of debating on how deep I want to put this, if I want to try to save that root too. Guess I'll put it kind of deep in the cup here. See if I can get both roots in soil. So I transferred 6 cuttings to cups today. I've got 2 sucrete, 1 Col de Dame, 2 Violet de Bordeaux, and a Pastelier. And I'm just going to water these in lightly with the spray bottle. And that's enough moisture. Like I said, I already pre-dampened this soil mix, and it's going to be in a high humidity environment. So if you remember from high school, I think gases and liquids have a tendency to go from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. So when these cups are in the bin under high humidity, if there are any dry areas in these cups, they'll eventually even out. And you'll have an even distribution of humidity and moisture. So since the mix is already dampened, you don't really have to soak these. The roots will be in a humid environment, and it's a nice airy mix since I haven't compacted it, and the roots will be able to grow into the soil a lot more easily. So let me go put these in the bin. So this is the basic setup I have for storing the cuttings when they're in the cups under high humidity. I've got these basically fish tank lights. You can use other light fixtures. I had these. These got T5s in them. And it's a storage bin, basic storage bin. And I don't use the cover that came with it. I have this clear plastic, this clear plexiglass that you can get at your home improvement store. And you can just adjust the gap here to regulate how much humidity you want in there. And then occasionally I take it off and I fan it, or just keep it off for a while and see if I can acclimate the plants to a little bit drier environment, and then put the cover back on. With all these fig trees in here, they have a distinct smell or aroma to them. And if you start off with just a couple, you might want to put a sponge in there, or you could put a damp paper towel or damp old washcloth or towel you have to boost up the humidity. But when you start getting, a number of plants like this, collectively they maintain a pretty good high humidity level. So this is not where I usually have it. I have it on a table. I just brought it out here. A little bit better light. And then I'll put the new cuttings that I put into cups today in the bin. And in a month or so, they'll look like the ones that, in fact, some of these I'm going to have to remove because they're just getting too tall. And hopefully I can acclimate them to drier weather, a drier environment. But I've got the humidifiers going full blast in the house too. I think I go through, I don't know, 5 gallons a day collectively with the humidifiers I've got going. So there it is, another set of cuttings. I might have to start a second bin too. So this is New England Gardening. Potting up some more fig cuttings. We're transferring them into soil. And you can see the difference here between the cuttings I started earlier and the UC Davis cuttings. So this is New England Gardening. Thanks for watching.